tens of if you invest, this is something you should be tracking. Every single month, tens of thousands of crores move in the Indian stock market, not from traders but through institutions. And FIIs and DIIs don't buy randomly, they increase stakes when they see something improving inside a business. And most of the time, they do it before the stock fully reacts. We did a similar video a few months back, and the response was amazing. So we heard you, and we are back with the latest data and deeper research. Hi, I'm Aparna, and in this video, we'll break down the top 5 stocks where FIIs have increased their stakes and top 5 stocks where DIIs have increased their stakes this quarter. And most importantly, understand the reasons and the numbers behind these. So let's start with FII stock number 5, Persistent Systems. It's not just another IT company, and it's worth understanding why. Persistent focuses on high value, specialized engineering work. Things like helping a company rebuild its entire data infrastructure for the AI upgrade. This is not commodity IT work, this requires deep capability. And that's exactly why clients pay more for it. Now let's look at the numbers this quarter. Market cap is about 71,000 crore. Revenue grew 17.3% year on year. That's solid. But what I find more interesting is where that growth came from. Their BFSI business grew 29%. That's their biggest segment, growing fastest, which is a good sign. Deal wins stayed strong, and total contract value, which is basically the total value of new businesses signed, hit $674 million. And here is the quiet story that most people missed: margins are actually improving. Now let's look at what FIIs actually did. Their holdings went from 21.24% to 22.79% in a single quarter. That's not a small move. What are they betting on? AI led execution, a strong deal pipeline, and the fact that Persistent's utilization rate is already at 88%, meaning there is not much slack in the system. When more deals come in, margins go up faster. Now, I want to be honest about the risks here too. Almost 80% of the revenue comes from the US. That's a real concentration. If the US economy slows down, or if AI starts compressing what clients pay for tech work, Persistent will feel that. So, for the next few quarters, watch two things: our new deals actually converting into revenue and our margins holding up. Now, let's move on to FII stock number 4, MCX, or Multi Commodity Exchange of India. Let me explain this business in the simplest way possible. When someone in India wants to trade gold, they do it on MCX. Same for silver, copper, crude oil, natural gas. MCX is basically the marketplace or the exchange. And every single time a trade happens on that platform, MCX earns a fee. And they actually benefit from volatility. Let's look at the numbers. Market cap is about 68,000 crore. This quarter, the operating income grew 121% year on year to 666 crore. Profit after tax jumped 151% to 401 crore. The big driver was options trading absolutely exploded. The average daily turnover from options grew over 220% in a single year. And bullion, gold and silver continued to dominate, making up nearly 78% of futures turnover. FIIs clearly saw what was happening. Their holding went from 19% in September to 20.64% in December, and this is actually a reversal. FII holding in MCX had been declining for a while. The fact that it's now going back up tells you something. They are reacting to operating leverage kicking in. MCX has high fixed costs, so when volumes jump, profits jump much faster. They are also reacting to MCX's position as a near monopoly, over 99% market share in key commodity segments. Now, here's the honest risk: MCX earnings are tied to trading volumes, which are tied to market volatility. Regulatory changes and any new competition from other exchanges are also worth watching. Now, let's move on to FII stock number 3, Radico Khitan. You might know their brands Magic Moments Vodka, Rampur Whiskey, or 1965 Spirit of Victory Rum. But here's the story that's actually playing out, and it's bigger than just one company. India is changing how it drinks. People are moving from cheaper basic alcohol to premium branded products. And this shift matters enormously for a business like Radico because premium products have much better margins. You can actually see this in the numbers. At a market cap of 36,000 crores, revenue this quarter grew 19.5% year on year to 1,547 crore. EBITDA grew 45% and margins expanded to 17.2%. Revenue is up 19.5%, profits up 45%. Now, the FII story here is particularly interesting. Their holding actually fell from about 18.6% all the way down to 16.9% through early 2025. Then it reversed sharply to 19.8% by December 2025. That's a 280 basis point jump. So, what happened? They waited. They wanted proof that this premiumization story was real. When that showed up clearly, they came back in and that too aggressively. The risks are specific to this industry. Alcohol is regulated state by state in India. Any adverse policy change can hit growth quickly. Raw material costs are also something to watch. Now let's move on to FII stock number 2, GE Vernova T&D Limited. Let me set some context here. India is adding a huge amount of renewable energy, solar farms, wind farms, that's great. But there is a practical challenge. Where is most of this renewable energy being generated? Remote areas, deserts in Rajasthan, coastlines, far from the cities that actually need the power. So how does that electricity travel from a solar farm in middle of Rajasthan to homes and factories in Mumbai and Delhi? Through transmission infrastructure, transformers, substations, grid equipment, high voltage systems. That's exactly what GE Vernova T&D India builds and supplies. And as India's renewable energy ambitions grow, the demand for this company's products grows with it. The numbers this quarter reflected that clearly. Revenue came in at 1700 crore, which was up 58% year on year. That's a very strong number for an engineering company. EBITDA margin at 26.7%, which is exceptional again. FII ownership moved from 16.15% to 18.46% in one quarter. Steady, consistent buying. The reason is straightforward: zero debt, strong cash, a globally reputed parent company behind it, and a multi year opportunity in India's grid expansion. There's also growing opportunity in HVDC, which is the technology used to transmit very large amounts of power over very long distances. India will need a lot of this. The risks are also real though. This is a project based business. Payment cycles can be long, working capital can get stretched, and competition is intense. And sustaining these margins requires disciplined execution every single quarter. Okay, with that, let's move on to FII stock number 1, NALCO or National Aluminium Company. NALCO is different from other commodity companies because they don't just make aluminium, they mine the bauxite, that's the raw material. They refine it into alumina, they turn that into aluminium metal. And also, they have their own captive power plants, which is important because power is one of the biggest costs in aluminium production. Having your own captive power means NALCO controls that cost in a way most competitors simply can't. Now, the numbers this quarter: alumina production was up 20%. Sales were up 45%. Yes, alumina prices actually fell sharply this quarter due to global oversupply. That was a headwind. But here's what happened to the costs. They grew only 6%. Volumes were up 45%, costs up 6%. That gap is operational efficiency working at scale. As a result, EBITDA jumped 20% and profit before tax grew 25%, even with weak prices. And FIIs reacted to that. Holdings moved from 16.22% in September to 19.67% in December. The reason is classic commodity investing. When prices are volatile and uncertain, bet on the lowest cost producer. Because when prices do recover, the low cost producer captures the most upside, and when prices are weak, they are the last ones to get hurt. Nalco fits that profile. And there is an upcoming refinery expansion adding 1 million tons of capacity, which adds another layer to the growth story. The risk here is simple: alumina prices are still weak globally and input costs are rising. Now let's move to DIIs. We're going to talk about top 5 stocks, top 3 from mid cap stocks, and top 2 from small cap stocks. Let's start with DII stock number 5, Ather Energy. Ather builds premium electric scooters. But what makes them genuinely different is that they are not just a hardware company. They have built their own software, their own charging network, Ather Grid, their own technology stack. The scooter is almost like a smartphone on wheels. It gets better over time through software updates. Now, the market cap is 28,000 crore. This quarter, volumes grew 50% year on year to around 68,000 units. The market share reached 18.8%. But the more important story is what's happening to profitability. Gross margins touched 25%, EBITDA improved to around negative 3%. For context, not long ago, this number was deeply negative. They're closing in on break even. The trajectory is the story here. And here's a number that really caught our attention. Software and non vehicle revenue, things like connectivity, subscriptions, accessories, services, already contribute 14% of total revenue. That's significant and a much more valuable business model. DIIs increased their stake from 23.6% to 28.1% in a single quarter. Clear conviction. But the risk is real too. Profitability isn't there yet. EV demand has some dependency on government subsidies, and commodity costs can affect margins in either direction. Now let's move on to DII stock number 4, Bandhan Bank. This one has a story that I genuinely find fascinating. Bandhan started as a microfinance institution lending small amounts, typically 10,000 to 50,000, to low income borrowers, mostly women, mostly in rural and semi urban India. And it was extraordinarily good at this. Then it became a full bank, which is a difficult transition. And Bandhan went through some painful years navigating this. But here's what's actually happening now. Today, Bandhan serves over 32.5 million customers through 1,831 branches across India, offering everything from microloans to housing, retail, and wholesale banking products. But the real shift is happening inside its loan book. Gross advances, that is, the total loans, stand at 1.45 lakh crore, up 10% year on year. Deposits at 1.57 lakh crore, up 11%. Deposits are growing faster than loans. That's a sign of a stable, healthy balance sheet. The bank isn't stretching to grow, and the loan book itself is getting healthier. Then, secured lending. Loans backed by collateral like homes and property now forms 57% of the loan book. That's up from where it was, and it significantly reduces risk. Now, DII ownership moved from 18.39% to 19.11%. They are most likely betting on the asset quality cycle improving. But profitability is still under pressure. Net profit in Q3 was just 210 crore. That's the cost of cleaning up legacy stress from the difficult years. It's not a bad number in isolation, but it reflects that the transition isn't complete yet. Now let's move on to DII stock number 3, Vishal Mega Mart. It's a value retail chain selling apparel, FMCG, and daily essentials to mass India, the consumer who wants decent quality at genuinely affordable prices. Q3 revenue grew 17%. Good. But here's what I want you to notice about the nature of that growth. It's largely volume led. More people buying more things, not just prices going up. Volume led growth is healthier and more sustainable. Now, here's something clever about their model. 74.5% of their sales come from their own private labels, their own in house brands, not Parley, not HUL, Vishal's own products. Why does this matter? Because when you sell your own brand, you control the pricing, you keep more of the profit, and customers develop loyalty towards you. DII holdings moved from 9.9% to over 27% in just 2 quarters. And they are still holding above 25%. That's really aggressive. They essentially tripled their holdings in 6 months. They are seeing consistent execution, strong store expansion, 80 new stores in 9 months, bringing the total to 771, and a model that seems to work whether the economy is booming or cautious. The risk here is execution at scale. More stores mean more complexity. If store productivity drops or they have to discount aggressively to compete, margins will slip. And the market won't be forgiving at current valuation. Let's move on to DII stock number 2, BHEL. It's a company most investors thought had already seen its peak. For years, it was seen as a slow PSU engineering giant dependent on government power projects. But something is genuinely changing, and it's worth paying attention to. India needs a lot more power, not eventually, now. Electricity demand is growing faster than capacity, and the government has aggressively restarted thermal power capacity additions alongside renewables. BHEL builds the heavy equipment that all of this requires: boilers, turbines, generators for power plants. And this is starting to show up in the numbers. Revenue this quarter grew from 7,277 crore to around 8,473 crore. EBITDA jumped from 420 crore to 772 crore. Profit after tax moved from 125 crore to 382 crore. Those are not small improvements. Margins are actually moving in the right direction after years of struggle. But the number that really tells the story is the order book: 2.22 lakh crore. 76% is coming from the power sector. That's not 1 or 2 years of work, that's years of execution visibility already logged in. DIIs are making a contrarian bet here. They are buying a company that many people gave up on, but which now has a genuine multi year execution runway in front of it. Now let's move on to DII stock number 1. And the stock DII, they're not an insurance company, they are not a lender. They are the platform where people make their decisions. And insurers and lenders pay PB Fintech to be present at that decision point. Now let's look at the numbers this quarter. Total premium, that's the value of insurance policies sold through their platform, grew 45% year on year to around 8,000 crore. Health insurance grew 79%. Protection products grew 68%, revenue grew 37%, but profit after tax jumped 165% to 189 crore. Margins expanded to 11%. Now, here's the structural moat that's very hard to replicate. It has 93% market share among online insurance aggregators, built over 17 years. That kind of position makes the business genuinely defensible. DII holdings moved from 26.63% to 29.54%, a meaningful increase. And you know what? India has a 97% life insurance protection gap. Let that sink in. That means the vast majority of Indian households don't have adequate life insurance. So, as awareness grows and digital adoption increases, the platform that sits at the entry point of that journey has an enormous opportunity in front of it. But the risks are real too. The credit marketplace Paisa Bazaar has seen some pressure. Regulatory changes in insurance commissions can temporarily disrupt the economics. Sustaining both high growth and improving margins at the same time is genuinely difficult. So, these were the 5 stocks from each of these categories. Step back and look at all these names together. Different sectors, different businesses, but the same pattern. Strong execution and clear growth visibility. That's what smart money looks for. You don't have to copy them, but understanding why they are buying, that makes you a better and smarter investor. So tell us in the comments which stock stood out to you the most. And if you like this, let us know. We'll keep tracking this every quarter. If this video helped you understand how institutions think, not just what they buy, hit like and subscribe for more such deep dive videos. See you in the next one.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.